You're watching Election Center on the night when the Uttar Pradesh campaign, a month-long bitterly fought contest, has finally come to an end. Now all that is left is for the people to vote in the final phase of this election. And it was a closely fought high-voltage battle right till the end. The focus, as ever, was on the Prime Minister, who spent an unprecedented 3 days in Varanasi. Today was his third and final day, and he kicked it off by visiting an ashram which is supposed to have a large following amongst the OBCs, particularly the Yadav community. It also runs a Gaushala, so he visited the ashram, fed the cows, following which he also made a visit to the home of former Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri, another important iconic destination in Banaras. And then he capped it all off with one more final rally in a constituency on the outskirts of the city, concluding, as I said, an extraordinary 3 days high-profile, high-voltage charge in Banaras. And is that a sign that the BJP is supremely confident, or is that a sign that they're jittery? We'll be debating that in just a second. But also, along with Mr. Modi was virtually almost a dozen members of his cabinet, all of whom were campaigning in and around Banaras. Earlier, I had a chance to travel with and interview one of them, Rajnath Singh, who's not just the Home Minister of India, but also somebody who's very closely linked to Uttar Pradesh, somebody who many believe could well be in the race for Chief Minister should the BJP cross the finish line. Does he consider himself a contender, and what are the national implications of the Uttar Pradesh outcome? I got to ask him all of that in an exclusive interview. Let's watch. राजनाथ जी, लेकिन आपसे ये पूछना था कि जिस भारी तरीके से बीजेपी ने अपने सारे मिनिस्टर्स को फील्ड किया है, मोदी जी खुद दो रोड शोज बनारस में कर चुके हैं, विपक्ष कह रहा है कि आप इस वजह से कर रहे हैं क्योंकि आप नर्वस हैं।
वैसे जब भी चुनाव होता है, कोई भी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी हो, उस पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के सभी लीडर्स चुनाव में कैंपेन के लिए निकलते हैं।
लेकिन इतना एक ही कंस्टिट्यूएंसी में प्रधानमंत्री खुद रोड शोज कर रहे हैं, इसका क्या हम मतलब समझें? बीजेपी कुछ डाउट में है, कुछ वरी में है।
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं, पहले भी रोड शो किया है उन्होंने, इसी वाराणसी में रोड शो किया है। और उन्होंने कहा कि यदि मैं यहाँ पर आया हूँ वाराणसी में रोड शो करने के लिए, तो एक सांसद के रूप में, प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में ही नहीं, एक कार्यकर्ता भाव लेकर आया हूँ।
आपके खुद के मंत्री हैं खुशवाहा जी, उन्होंने कहा कि प्रधानमंत्री को रोड शो कराना उचित नहीं था।
किसने कहा?
खुशवाहा जी।
नहीं, प्रधानमंत्री ने जो भी फैसला लिया होगा सोच समझ कर लिया होगा।
एक मैं आपसे सवाल पूछना चाहता हूं कि अब ये कैंपेन मोर और लेस खत्म हो गया है, लेकिन कैंपेन के दौरान जिस किस्म का माहौल बना, जिस किस्म की चीज़ें कही गई, उससे कहा गया कि शुरुआत जो विकास की बातों से हुई, बात काफ़ी वहाँ से हट गई और कब्रिस्तान की बात आ गई, शमशान घाट की बात आ गई। क्या ये चीज़ें उचित हैं?
देखिए, मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि हम भारतीय जनता पार्टी तो गुड गवर्नेंस और डेवलपमेंट, सुशासन और विकास, दो ही मुद्दों पर यह चुनाव लड़ रही है।
तो फिर क्यों, क्या वजह थी कि
देखिए, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो कुछ भी कहा, मुझे लगता है कि उसका रॉन्ग इंटरप्रिटेशन हुआ है।
अच्छा।
उनका कहने का उद्देश्य बस यही था कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी किसी भी सूरत में, अथवा स्वयं मैं एज ए प्राइम मिनिस्टर भी किसी भी सूरत में कास्ट, क्रीड अथवा रिलीजन के बेसिस पर कोई डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं करूंगा, और न तो किसी को करना चाहिए। एक मैसेज देना उनका यह उद्देश्य था।
लेकिन अगर वो ऐसा कहते हैं तो उसकी कोई बेसिस होनी चाहिए। किस आधार पे उन्होंने कहा कि ऐसा हो रहा है? उन्होंने कहा कि कब्रिस्तान की जगह शमशान घाट।
आपको यह नहीं लगता कि ये सो कॉल्ड सेकुलर पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज रिलीजन के बेसिस पर आह्वान करती हैं कि इस रिलीजन को मानने वाले लोगों का हमको समर्थन मिल रहा है, और उनसे अपील करती हैं कि आप हमको समर्थन दीजिए? आपने अभी नहीं सुना बहुजन समाज पार्टी का?
नहीं, बट सपा, जहाँ तक सरकार की सवाल है, सपा की तरफ से ऐसा कोई बयान तो हमारे ज़हन में तो नहीं आया।
बसपा ने कहा है, नहीं, सपा के नेताओं ने इसके पहले के सारे बयान उठाकर देख लीजिए।
और जहाँ तक अमित शाह जी ने कहा कसब, क्या उसको एटलीस्ट आप मानते हैं कि उसे अवॉइड करना चाहिए था, कि जब उन्होंने कहा कि कांग्रेस पार्टी, समाजवादी और बहुजन समाज पार्टी कसब की तरह है?
नहीं, कांग्रेस, समाजवादी पार्टी, बहुजन समाज पार्टी, लंबा बोलने के बजाय शायद कह दिया होगा उन्होंने ऐसा। लेकिन कसाब नहीं कहा उन्होंने।
हाँ, बट उन्होंने कहा कसब, तो उन्होंने
कसाब नहीं कहा है। अब कोई अर्थ उसका निकाले, कसब माने कांग्रेस, समाजवादी पार्टी, बहुजन समाज पार्टी।
आपने सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक्स का जिक्र किया। आपने कहा कि भारत को अगर कोई छेड़ता है तो भारत छोड़ता नहीं। इससे काफ़ी क्राउड में रिस्पांस भी आया। लेकिन क्या ये एक मिलिट्री ऑपरेशन को पॉलिटिसाइज करना, चुनावी दौर में उठाना, क्या ये सही है?
क्या नेशनल प्राइड के इश्यूज को केवल हम ही को नहीं बोलना चाहिए? नेशनल प्राइड के इश्यूज को तो हर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को बोलना चाहिए। लोगों के अंदर एक अपने देश को, अपने राष्ट्र को लेकर एक सेंस ऑफ प्राइड ये डेवलप करने के लिए सबको बोलना चाहिए, लेकिन लोग बोलेंगे नहीं।
बट राजनाथ जी इसीलिए नहीं बोलते क्योंकि माना जाता है कि मिलिट्री एक्शंस जो हैं वो एक लक्ष्मण रेखा है, उसको कभी राजनीति में नहीं लाया जाता।
राजनीति में क्यों? क्या हमको हमारे सेना के जवान, आपने नहीं देखा होगा हमारे सेना के जवानों ने करिश्मा किया? मैंने यह कहा कि मैंने उसमें यह करिश्मा किया कि जो है हमने यह कर डाला, यह कहा मैंने सेना के जवानों को ही तो क्रेडिट दी।
नहीं, फिर उसके बाद आपने वो बीएसएफ का भी जिक्र किया।
ये सब सच, जो घटना सच है वो किया
कि आपने उनको आदेश दिया कि मतलब वो व्हाइट
सही बात है, सही बात,
गोली का जमकर जवाब दें।
हमने पहली गोली नहीं भारत की तरफ से नहीं चलनी चाहिए, ये बात सच है। जो कहा है उसमें वही बहुत, आप मत सोचिए कि हम उससे वो करेंगे। जो सच है वो सच है, बोलेंगे।
नहीं सच है, बट
कोई गोली चलाएगा उसके बाद हम माला पहनाएंगे, ये नहीं होगा।
नहीं, वो आपकी बात सही है, लेकिन उसको एक चुनावी मंच पे रेज करना
क्यों नहीं रेज करें? कि आपकी सरकार कमजोर नहीं है, आपका देश कमजोर नहीं है। लोगों के अंदर एक सेंस ऑफ प्राइड पैदा करना, इसकी चर्चा करना, ये कोई क्राइम नहीं है। ये तो सच बात है कि लोग केवल पॉलिटिकल रीजन से इसकी चर्चा नहीं करते हैं। चर्चा सबको करनी चाहिए।
यू डोंट फील कभी कभी कि यू वुड लाइक अ चांस टू वंस अगेन बी चीफ मिनिस्टर? जो आपको एक मौका मिला था, योर टर्म वाज क्वाइट मेमोरेबल, एक दोबारा चांस का आप कभी सोचते हैं?
लोगों की कमी नहीं है। वैसे इस संबंध में मुझे कमेंट नहीं करना चाहिए क्योंकि सेंट्रल पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड का ये डिसीजन होता है।
आप कह रहे हैं लोगों की कमी नहीं है, लीडर्स हैं?
हाँ, लीडर्स हैं, कोई कमी नहीं है। मिनिस्टर ऐसा होना चाहिए जिसकी कॉमन मैसेज में क्रेडिबिलिटी हो। चीफ मिनिस्टर ऐसा ही होना चाहिए और बराबर उसे ध्यान देना चाहिए कि ताकि लॉस ऑफ क्रेडिबिलिटी उसकी किसी भी सूरत में न होने पाए। सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये है। और दूसरी चीज़, जनता के साथ उसका सीधा संवाद भी होना चाहिए और ये सब काम मैंने किया है यहाँ पर, इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ। चीफ मिनिस्टर रहते हुए हमारे यहाँ पंचायत होती थी मुख्यमंत्री आवास में, व्यापारियों की, किसानों की
भीड़ लगती थी,
टीचर्स की। हाँ, 2-2, 3-3, 4-4 हज़ार लोग बैठते थे और उसी में यदि कोई खास चीज़ ऐसी मुझे लगी कि इस संबंध में तुरंत शासनादेश जारी करना चाहिए तो मैं तुरंत शासनादेश जारी करता था।
लास्ट में मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ कि राजनाथ जी, जो भी इस इलेक्शन का नतीजा निकलेगा, क्या ये मोदी जी पे एक रेफरेंडम होगा?
नहीं, ऐसा मैं नहीं मानता। ऐसा मैं नहीं मानता।
वो तो फेस रहे हैं कैंपेन के।
प्राइम मिनिस्टर तो सारी कंट्री का होता है साहब। दूसरी चीज़ यह भी है कि जो स्टेट असेंबली के इलेक्शंस होते हैं वो केवल सेंट्रल इश्यूज़ पर नहीं होते। मैं समझता हूँ कि बहुत बड़ा रोल लोकल इश्यूज़ का भी होता है, इसलिए वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर के उस पर पॉपुलरिटी पर एक रेफरेंडम माना जाए, ऐसा नहीं होता है।
All right, so Rajnath Singh there telling me that this election in Uttar Pradesh will not be a referendum on the Prime Minister. Well, joining me on the debate tonight is Sambit Patra, BJP spokesperson, joins me from New Delhi. Sanjay Jha of the Congress, Madhukar Jetli of the Samajwadi Party joining me from Lucknow, as also M.H. Khan, BSP leader from Lucknow as well. Sambit Patra, before I come to you, Rahul Gandhi was amongst your political rivals who questioned Mr. Modi's repeated roadshows in Banaras, indicating that this was a sign of desperation. Let's listen to what he had to say before I come to you.
बनारस में हमने रोड शो किया, तब से मोदी जी वहां पे फायर करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। 3 बार फायर करने की कोशिश की, 3 बार मिसफायर हुआ। 4 दिन में मोदी जी ने 4 बार रीटेक लिया है बनारस में। बात नहीं बन रही है।
Sambit Patra, what do you make of that? Was this an indication that the BJP is jittery in an area where you should be absolutely confident?
Very respectfully, though I do not take Mr. Rahul Gandhi very seriously because his own party does not do so, but I would still reply to this question. Whether are we nervous? Is there some kind of desperation because Mr. Narendra Modi is working very hard in Uttar Pradesh? The simple answer is hard work is never a demerit. Hard work is always a merit. Rather, this question should be asked of the Congress party, Samajwadi Party combination, that they run an alliance of nervousness today. In fact, the Samajwadi Party had maintained right from the very beginning that they have worked really hard on the ground.
No, but Sambit,
on the development of the state. If they have really worked for the development of the state,
We'll come to the Samajwadi Party in just a
Vasu.
second. I just want to ask you though that if the BJP is so confident about Banaras, given that this is Mr. Modi's pocket borough, he's the MP from there, it is anyway even prior to that a BJP stronghold, why have the unprecedented act of having the Prime Minister remain there for 3 days? In fact, your own MP, Shatrughan Sinha, has called it a desperate action. He said, ये किस किस्म की desperation का भी संकेत देता है, ये कैसा desperation है?
Vasu, allow me 30 seconds uninterrupted. I'll answer the question. Number one, it's not that there is any kind of desperation. It is not that what is happening is unprecedented and should not happen. The only issue is of late, since approximately last 10 years, we had got used to prime ministers who were not hardworking. We had seen Mr. Manmohan Singh, with due respect, I respect him a great deal. Mr. Manmohan Singh was a Rajya Sabha member or not a Lok Sabha member, did not have a constituency of his own, or should I say his only constituency was 10 Janpads. So naturally did not feel like connecting with the people. Today we have a hardworking prime minister. He's a Lok Sabha member.
Let me get that.
He feels like connecting with the people, and if he is giving his sweat for the people of this country for the elections, which are supposed to be the greatest celebration of democracy, why
let
should
me
the
ask
opposition
Sanjay Jha
be
that.
complaining?
Let me
Rather,
ask
my question to the opposition is, where are Sonia Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi? Where are Sonia Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi? After one road show, we do not see Sonia Gandhi, and after one rally, we have no Priyanka Vadra.
Sanjay Jha, respond to that the Congress is simply not hard-working enough. And the Prime Minister's presence in Banaras is not desperation, it's a sign of how seriously he takes elections.
You know, Vasu, I want to keep my answer very brief. Upendra Kushwaha, who was from the cabinet of Mr. Modi, has himself expressed very, very great surprise at Mr. Modi's extended roadshow in Varanasi. Shatrughan Sinha, a very senior leader, has similarly, I think, made a very sarcastic observation that if this isn't a manifestation of Mr. Modi's frustration, then what is? In another 5 days, we'll have the election results, but I think the people of India will know why Mr. Modi has pressed the panic buttons. The writing is on the wall for the BJP.
You think the writing is on the wall for the BJP just because Mr. Modi is campaigning there? Aren't you being somewhat, I mean, isn't this wishful thinking? Let me bring in Madhukar Jetli of the Samajwadi Party. Mr. Jetli, is this a sign of, as Sambit Patra puts it, that this is a sign that you and the Congress are an alliance of nervousness? You're nervous and that's why you're attacking the Prime Minister for his roadshow. You sense that in this last stage, there's been a surge in favor of the BJP.
No. You see, Vasu, the point is that the Prime Minister has today once again exposed himself by only going to the residence of the former Prime Minister and not going to the residence of the former Bharat Ratna, who is already from Varanasi, late Mr. Amirullah Khan, who was known as Bismillah Khan, who is a Bharat Ratna, equally respectable personality. And the slogan of the Prime Minister saying that Sabka Saath, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Vikas is today once again exposed. The Prime Minister going to only selected people and not, we have got no problems with Lal Bahadur Shastri. He was a very distinguished politician.
No, but sir, isn't that nitpicking?
Hard work for the country. But why did the Prime Minister ignore the residence of Mr. Bismillah Khan,
no, isn't that nitpicking?
Ratna, in the same line of musicians as M.S. Subbalakshmi and Ravi Shankar.
Okay, I'm not really, that's not really, I feel that's nitpicking. I really don't want to take that question to Sambit. But what I do want to put on the screen though, Sambit, is the very, very full court press that we've had of the entire Modi cabinet over the past 10 days in Banaras. And it gives you an idea, I mean, this has been reported widely, but it gives you an idea of how many senior cabinet ministers were camping in just one city for such a long period of time. Surely, and that's up on the screen.
And that too with one community.
Sorry? Surely, Sambit.
And that too within one community.
Surely, Sambit, somewhere along the line, there is something about what is going on in Banaras that is making you jittery.
See, Vasu, I would say that preparedness is never a demerit. Remember, in elections, one has to be prepared. Why should we be unprepared? And if our tall leaders, and thankfully the Bharatiya Janata Party today has an array of tall leaders who are heard, who are observed, and that is the reason as to why the opposition is jittery. The media is observing them. They're given space in the media today because we have an array of tall leaders. And when we have such an array of tall leaders, rather than feeling ashamed, I should hold my head high and I should be questioning the opposition. Where are your leaders? Why do you have dearth of leaders? It is one-man party in their parties. We have only Akhilesh Yadav and Dimple Ji. Let me just a second, 10 seconds. 10 seconds, I'll complete this since all the questions are directed to me. By the same logic, I would be asking the Samajwadi Party, if you had really worked hard and there was no need for hitting the ground, why did Akhilesh Yadav and Dimple Yadav in fact hold 200 rallies? And by the same logic, in 1980s, Indira Gandhi used to campaign for Vidhan Sabha elections and she used to hold 200 rallies. Why was Indira Gandhi wrong then? Absolutely no.
Okay, let me ask, okay, fair enough. You had your 10 seconds. Let me just bring in Madhukar, let me bring in Mr. Khan, MH Khan of the BSP. Let me bring in MH Khan of the BSP. Khan साहब, हम देख रहे थे कि इस आखिरी चरण में सारे बड़े लीडर्स जो हैं सब पार्टीज के पूरे अपना दम लगा के कैंपेन कर रहे हैं. क्या मायावती जी भी ऐसा कर रही हैं? आज मेरे ख्याल से सिर्फ उनका एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस था.
नहीं, देखिए, हमारा कल तक कैंपेन था और रोहनिया में हमारी बहन जी ने मीटिंग किया और इनको 200 से बड़ी मीटिंग थी. हम ये नहीं कहना चाहते कि उपेंद्र कुशवाहा ने क्या कहा या शत्रुघ्न सिन्हा ने क्या कहा, हम उस बात में नहीं पढ़ना चाहते. हम तो ये देख रहे हैं कि माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी 3 दिन से जो कैंप कर रहे हैं उसकी वजह यह है कि बनारस में या उत्तर प्रदेश में कोई काम नहीं किया इन्होंने. 3 साल में न कोई फैक्ट्री दिया, 3 साल में न कोई रोजगार लोगों को दिया, 3 साल में मजदूरों की कमर तोड़ दी, 3 साल में किसानों को कमर तोड़ दी, 3 साल में इन्होंने वहाँ के बुनकरों की हालत पर सुधार नहीं किया. बुनकर वहाँ आत्महत्या कर रहा है. ये सब चीजें थी.
बीजेपी ने जो किया ना किया, आप ये बताएं. नहीं खान साहब, आप ये बताएं कि क्या ये फैक्ट नहीं है कि चाहे बीजेपी ने किया न किया, सपा ने किया न किया, फ्रैंकली लड़ाई इन दोनों पार्टियों के ही बीच है. बसपा अभी भी 3 नंबर पे चल रही है इस इलेक्शन में. वो ठीक से अपना कैंपेन कर नहीं पाए. इट कुडंट क्रिएट एन इंपैक्ट.
बिल्कुल गलत बात है ये. ठीक से कैंपेन खूब किया गया है. हमारे वर्कर है, बूथ लेवल पे वर्कर है, हमारे 1 साल पहले से कैंडिडेट डिक्लेयर है. वो अपना काम कर रहे थे. हम तमाशा नहीं करना जानते, ना हम तमाशा करते हैं, ना हम गलत भाषा का इस्तेमाल करते हैं, ना हम कोई ऐसी बात करते हैं कि कसाब की बात नहीं करते. हम क्या नाम है, कब्रिस्तान की बात नहीं करते, हम शमशान घाट की बात नहीं करते, हम काम की बात करते हैं. और हम नंबर 1 पे है. बहुजन समाज पार्टी देखिएगा नंबर 1 पे है.
अच्छा, आप कह रहे हैं आप नंबर 1 पे हैं.
मायावती जी मुख्यमंत्री बनेगी.
Okay, मैं on the point of a divisive campaign, I just want to play for a second some of the highlights of Mr. Modi's final speech today in and around Banaras, where once again he made the allegation that the Samajwadi Party, the government of Uttar Pradesh, practices a divisive form of development, a divisive form of vikas, where they discriminate on the basis of religion and caste. Let's listen.
भेदभाव होता है कि नहीं होता है, अपना पराया होता है कि नहीं होता है, सच्चे लोग रह जाते हैं कि नहीं रह जाते हैं, और गलत लोगों को रोजगार मिलता है कि नहीं मिलता है. अपनी वोट बैंक को संभालो, बस उन्हीं को दाना पानी देते रहो, उनको खुश रखो. इसी में भेदभाव से भरी हुई है सरकार.
And these comments also repeated by Mr. Amit Shah as well. Sambit, I want to take this to you because we did have a debate on this, you and I, earlier last week as well, where the BJP's suggestion that there is some kind of divisive policies of the government based on communal lines, based on religious lines, is problematic simply because there's just not enough proof to back up this claim, and yet it is made in speech after speech.
Not at all. We had the debate that day and people can perceive as to how we debated. But the bigger issue is tangibility, and Mr. Modi has been rightly pointing out in most of his rallies, and anyone who is from Uttar Pradesh today knows that if you go to a police station in Uttar Pradesh, the police stations in fact are converted into party karyalayas. They have become Samajwadi Party karyalaya, and the worst thing is, this is known to everyone, But the irony is the Samajwadi Party is still practicing this. We had sting operations for some of the most eminent English channels, which showed us to how, in fact, one of their top leaders, Mr. Ajam Khan, called the police station saying that inko chhod do. It shows that there is discrimination running rampant in Uttar
taking
Pradesh.
isolated instances. No, but Samit, the problem is, isn't it irresponsible to use isolated instances and anecdotal instances and try and make it seem like it's a statewide problem? Like, for instance, Mr. Amit Shah said laptops are distributed on the basis of your caste or religion. But the SP has subsequently put out links of the laptop distribution scheme indicating that there's no such thing. Every lakhs of people have got laptops. There's no evidence at all that it is based on religion or caste.
Let the people decide for themselves. People of Uttar Pradesh know who is speaking the truth and who is not speaking the truth. And I'll tell you, anyone who visits Uttar Pradesh gets the ground pulse as to how the discrimination is quite rampant. And I'll give you an example.
Let's get the
communal distinctions. Let us come to the real
Let's get the SP to respond to that, and then I'll go to Sanjay Jha. Madhukar
The biggest question today is Gayatri Prajapati.
That
Look
this
what
is something
Gayatri
that
Prajapati's
people
case
feel
is.
across the board. That, you know, regardless of whether it's factually true or not, there's a widespread perception that the SP government has practiced this kind of
No, it's factually true.
one-sided
It's factually true as well. I can quote the
discrimination.
facts in front of you.
Madhukar Jetli.
You see, it is a situation of the pot calling the kettle black. The BJP has not given a single ticket to any other community of the minority, whether it is a Muslim or a Christian or any other minority community. They have actually distinguished between the communities and not distributed tickets to any community other than the upper caste and the Hindus. So they cannot claim and say that the Samajwadi Party has distinguished, whereas the fact is, you just now mentioned that whether it is in the laptop distribution or in the electricity distribution, there can be no distinction between the Hindus and the Muslims in the state, across the state, and the results of which will be proved on the 11th of March. The voter has outsmarted all the politicians, it has outsmarted all the journalists. It is very silent. It is voting in a very, very strategic manner. Nobody can distinguish what is going to happen on the 11th of March, and therefore this charge of the BJP against the Samajwadi Party is completely baseless and unfounded.
Sanjay Jha, is this election going to be a defining moment for the Congress, that if you don't pull it off in Uttar Pradesh, if you come a distant third or fourth, as the BJP suggests you're going to do, this is just going to trigger the already fairly rapid pace of decline in the party?
Vasu, I think the election outcome will have a huge significance far beyond just one political party. I think it's going to be about how you can keep India fundamentally united and strong and restore secularism where it belongs. And I will give you an example. I mean, you're no longer talking about, the Suresh Rana and the Sanjeev Balyans and the Sangeet Soms and the Yogi Adityanath in this election. The Prime Minister himself, by the way, when he indulged in what I believe is total post-truth election campaign, he talked about electricity being given in excess to one community during a religious festival as opposed to the other. He was called out. He lied. He lied to the people of Uttar Pradesh. Mr. Narendra Modi lied to the people of India. He made a comment, Vasu, on the train accident that happened in Kanpur. Now, we all know it is still under investigation by the NIA. The Prime Minister of this country, Mr. Narendra Modi, says it is a terror attack. Now, I believe that when the head of this country is indulging in such brazen politics, we have to worry. We need to be worried as a nation.
Samit, literally out of time. Quick 10-second rebuttal, then we have to close.
See, if both these parties, the alliance of nervousness, they feel that the Prime Minister was lying and it's going to have a great deal of bad effect on the Bharatiya Janata Party. So rather than showing their frustration, they should be very happy about it. But since it is contradictory in the sense that they are appearing frustrated, it supposes, I can say you that in fact the Prime Minister had hit the right chord. He has spoken the truth, and that is the reason as to why the opposition is jittery.
All right, that's all we have time for. Thank you, gentlemen, very much indeed. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time with another episode of Election Center. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.